All right. Welcome, everybody. Second episode of the BS podcast. This time I got my cousin Jason.
Made a small appearance yesterday.
Yeah, he joined us for the last 25 minutes of yesterday's episode. So today we're going to have our very own episode. So, you graduated recently
I did.
from high school. I'm very proud of him because high school was one of the worst times in my life. And, you got through it.
Some unforeseen twists this year as well.
Yes, sir.
Curveballs, if you will.
What do you mean by that?
Going full remote, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, then, didn't you guys come back at the end of the year?
Yeah, I was out of school for probably a good...
I'm going to turn towards you a little.
I kind of forget. I forget exactly when they called off school. The date was like the 17th. I forget which month it was. But we were off from like then until this summer, like indefinitely, like everyone was out. And then the school year started up, and then you could choose what you wanted to do. A lot of people did like full remote, which was like what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people did, or some people did hybrid, which means you go to school 2 days and then do full remote learning the rest of the other days. So I didn't come back for I was probably out of school for probably a solid year and then some.
If
doing
I could
full
have,
remote.
if I could have fucking done remote school.
Oh yeah, it wasn't.
Oh,
it was
boy.
not productive. I
bet.
I got the best grades that I got like school wise because remote learning was.
Easy.
It wasn't easy, I'd say. There was I had to do a lot of things myself, which was different, but I ended up figuring a lot of stuff out.
Gotcha.
Obviously the internet did help a little bit, but I mean,
Of course. You're only on the internet all day, so...
if we're gonna be honest, everyone was cheating. That's if you look
Oh,
at
100%. The
if
teachers
you look
knew
at
it.
if you look at everyone's grades, I bet like the last year and a half, everyone's grades have been phenomenal for the most
Well,
part.
I don't know. Some people
Some people probably didn't
failed
do
badly, and
Well, no, but you know what they did?
well,
or at
what?
least at North. If you had like below a passing grade, they had this thing called X block, if you will. So basically, it was you had 3 periods on a day 1 and 4 periods on a day 2, and you just repeat that cycle, and then like Wednesday mix and match between a day 1 and a day 2. But on day 2s you'd have this X block, and a lot of people just got dismissed during it. I did because I had like decent grades, like I said, like I wasn't in jeopardy of failing any classes.
It was like a detention.
It wasn't like a detention because it wasn't required. They couldn't make students go. But if you went there, they made you do work for your classes, and you actually got a lot of work done, and they like helped you with a lot of stuff. And come to find out, if you did that, like even if you didn't meet the requirements technically, that X block counted as credits towards the classes that you were failing, so you still passed. So I wasn't anything like that. I ended up making like honors the last year and a half just because they were full remote learning.
Yeah. I remember reading on social media people saying they were doing terrible in online school, and it's like, I don't, how? You know, it's not, like, you have infinite information at your fingertips. All you have to do is Google the questions. If you really, like, are struggling that badly, how is it that, like, how can you be failing classes when you can Google all the answers?
Sorry, I don't know.
That's all right.
The best part, or like the funniest part, was a lot of teachers this year basically knew what was going to happen. So you know what they did? They made a lot of their tests for full remote anyway, open note. I went back into school for the last...
That's literally giving you the green light to Google.
They made it open note so you could do anything like that. You had your computer right there. And I went back into school, and they were still doing the same thing. Like some of my teachers, like my math teacher, let us still do open note and everything. So you can look back at all the notes that we've taken the last 3 days. And even if you weren't there, she had a slideshow of all the notes that we've done.
The answers.
Basically, like it wasn't the exact answers, but it was the steps on how to get there. It was all of the notes that we had taken.
Gotcha.
So basically, as long as you looked back on those, like you knew what to do, so wasn't too bad.
Jeez. See, back when I was in school, I typically passed all my classes pretty easily. My sophomore year, I took honors biology, and that was the first class in my entire life where I actually tried and did the homework assignments and still failed.
Remember helping you with that test? We talked about that the other day.
Yeah, there was no,
Study
that
for
was
that
a different
test.
test, I think.
No, it was biology. I promise you, it was.
Maybe. Okay, well, anyway, that class, I did all the homework. I was getting bad grades on the homework, and I didn't know why. I would answer every question exactly like what needed to be answered, what it was asking, and I couldn't get a good grade. At the end of the year, I had to do like 10 research papers to make up these points. And he let me retake a test that I failed. Or no, he let me retake a test that I missed from the third quarter to get me one more point to pass. But like I literally had to do 11 two-page papers on various research subjects and fill out different prompts, and like I actually had to do that shit, and they forced me to like do something to pass. I couldn't just
You
sit
couldn't
there
just
and Google.
bullshit
I
it,
had
really.
to, yeah, I had to, and that was tough. That was the hardest go I ever had at that. Um, at school. I mean, then there's another time where in Spanish I failed the
I
first
hate
quarter.
Spanish.
Well, I was decent at Spanish, so I failed the first quarter. Just because my high school Spanish teacher was terrible. Everyone at that school will say it. She, I don't want to talk shit about her because
Yeah, I'm trying not
people
to
know
like
who she
mention
is.
names for this.
Yeah, so I got like a 63, and a 65 was a fail or something. So my mom said, "All right, well, if you fail Spanish, you're not going to be able to play basketball." So the very next quarter, the second quarter, I legitimately got my grade from a 63. At the end of the quarter, I passed with 113 because I got a perfect grade on every assignment and every test, and then I also did extra credit. So I went hard in the paint. So I mean, I wasn't stupid by any means.
No,
I just was lazy.
you never were because you probably wanted, or you didn't throw it in there, but you take all the tests for the most part in other classes without studying and just got really good grades on the tests, and then homework was a little bit of an issue, but that happens.
Well,
But like you got really good test grades without even like studying for it. You were just
the problem is my whole life I've had so much trouble focusing,
same.
and yeah, and it's I would learn the information in school when it was presented. When we would learn it, for the most part, I would know it. After the teacher gives the demonstration, I'd do a couple problems. I'd have the hang of it. Once we finished that review worksheet, boom. I wouldn't have to do any homework to know, especially math. I was really decent at math because it's just once you learn how to do something, you're just calculating the numbers. It's like rinse and repeat. So if you know the formula and the process you have to do, it's like the same thing over and over again. So if you learn it once, you learn it 1,000 times, and that's why I was really good at math. Um,
I was
I
decent.
forget where the fuck I was. Oh, yeah, but I couldn't sit there and focus and do the homework because I knew all these answers, and it's like, well, why do I have to take the time to go and do all these individual long math problems? And yeah, it was brutal. I I couldn't sit and do it. I couldn't sit and write. I hated writing. And I had a lot of trouble with my attention span going into my early adulthood. Um, and that's right now I'm actually on ADHD medication, and well, it's also a mild antidepressant, and right now I can just focus, and my depression has gone away completely. I get anxiety every once in a while, but now I just I'm on the ground running, And if I had this when I was in high school, who knows?
Exactly. I mean, I never had it as bad as that, but I've always had like ADHD. I've always had a problem focusing. When I was younger, they wanted to like put me on medication as well. Like when I was in, I think it was kindergarten, they wanted to hold me back because I'm a year younger than everyone. My parents didn't want to. Then first grade, I was told I should be put on medication. In second grade, I was told I should be put on medication. But my parents didn't really agree with that because I was just really young at the time.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna pause you real quick because the go-to medication for a long time was Adderall for kids, and while it can work wonders for focus, it's basically crack for kids. That
Yeah,
they
exactly.
prescribed it like candy for kids. So I mean, in a way, if I had that, I would have been a phenomenal student. But who knows? It could have.
Exactly. Who
It's
knows what it
not
could have
necessarily
caused?
healthy, or I don't know. I
No,
don't know much
you
about
hear
it,
those
but
stories of it too. People like forget like they take it, and obviously they don't mean to because it's for purposes that they're prescribed. But they're like, oh, I like forgot to eat. It's been like 10 hours. Like
yeah,
wow, and like stuff like that.
it's. I mean, it's like I said. It's basically crack and your or meth. I think it's basically meth.
I think
It's amphetamine.
it's
It's
yeah, it's the I think it's meth, but there's like one molecule removed from it,
yeah.
so like
So
it's slightly different.
it's essentially it's I don't know, taking it every single day of your life and relying on it. I can't see how that would be healthy. I don't know. I say that, but now I'm on a
Like I
medication.
well, I feel
But
like
the medication I have isn't a stimulant. That's the thing, because
I
that's a stimulant, which I can't imagine that would be good for your heart long term.
yeah, but I I feel like the Adderall is prescribed for very very bad cases, or it should be prescribed for very very bad cases because there's probably stuff before that you could go to like
Let
routes
me,
that you could go.
I've taken Adderall twice in my life, and let me tell you, those were the most productive days I've ever fucking had. But felt high. I felt high. I wasn't like I wasn't sober. I didn't feel sober, and
I've never taken it. I've never.
so
There's cases of people that I know like taking it, but like not really like know, just like know of.
hmm
Um,
yeah, no, it's especially if you don't know exactly what you're getting. Usually, it's people who get the medication that sell it, and they could
yeah.
have like an extra strong dose, or I don't know. It was never something I really wanted to dabble in. I know kids who used to do it for studying and whatever, but I could never really get into it. Anything like that always freaked me out. That's why whenever I had like run-ins with coke, I wouldn't. That freaks me out. I've never tried it because I feel like my head would explode if I did that. I don't know. It's just
See, it's funny because for me, I'm still a young 17-year-old kid, so in my mind, I'm still in the little kid world where I don't really think about that stuff yet. But the one thing I've seen is the fact that growing up is realizing that a lot of people do coke, and
I'm
I still
sure a lot
haven't
more people
adapted to
do
that
coke
yet.
than you
Oh
realize.
yeah, I still haven't adapted to that yet.
And
Never been presented.
basically every adult smokes weed.
Yeah.
I say every adult, but like
No,
a good majority of
I've
adults
noticed
smoke
that.
pot.
I was well. I mean, we were both introduced to that at a young age, though.
I
But we didn't
mean,
even know it at
I
the
didn't
time.
really know much about it
Exactly.
until
We.
I was. I don't know. I mean, I was pretty. I was kind of late to that game, but I think the first time I ever smoked weed was in eighth grade.
Yeah, I was really
Um,
late to that train then.
I'm not gonna say the kids. Well, actually, I'll say their first names: Dylan and James. And I remember we went to an elementary school community, and we hid behind the field house and rolled a joint, and it was the shittiest joint. None of us knew how to roll. It was windy, and we barely smoked a lot. Like we smoked, I don't know. It was like a barely smokable joint, and we smoked it. We got high. I was kind of like, all right, and I kind of actually forgot about that memory until years after I was smoking. Like actually, because I didn't. After that, I didn't really mess around with alcohol or weed until I think the first time I really smoked was sophomore year, like mid to early sophomore year. Um, and yeah, no, that was really when I started, and ever since then, it's been a
See,
long road of weed smoking.
it's funny because, I mean, I feel like just in general, because like us being related, a lot of our family is like more or less they prefer to drink alcohol. Um, Obviously they do smoke as well, but they prefer to drink alcohol. Most of them, I feel like anyway.
Yeah.
And not my beat. Never really been a big alcohol fan. I can't.
Me neither.
We had
Surprisingly.
there was that one time where you told me to take that one small shot of Hennessy, and I told you it was gonna happen, and you said no. You
Dude
said
was
no.
in the
Don't be.
bathroom
You
gagging
said
and
don't be a
throwing up.
bitch, and I went, all right, fine, I'll do it. Watch what'll happen. Picked it up and drank it, and then
I felt bad.
lo
You
and
didn't even
behold,
take a
like
big shot.
20 seconds later, I was like, be right back. I already know what's gonna happen, and then I had prepared myself. It wasn't bad.
You remember that time I slept over your house and took a shot of one of those to-go containers of spicy mustard from the Chinese restaurants? That was the worst night of my life. I did it for $20, or not even. I think it was like $5. It was like you were fucking. I don't even know if you were 13 yet.
No.
I was probably like 14, 15, and you were maybe 11. And it was like money your mom left us for
Yeah.
pizza. You're like,
No,
you
it
can
was-
have it if you.
It was for Chinese. We
Oh,
got
yeah,
Dragon
well, yeah,
Garden. They
Chinese
gave
food.
the spicy mustard.
Yeah, no, that was terrible. I got the worst stomach pains of my life. Honestly, I feel like if I just ate more food, my stomach would have been better.
If you want to hear the most unrelated, coinciding topics, you got. If you want to hear the most unrelated coinciding topics, you have bonding over spicy. It was the spicy mustard and a love of Sharknado. Because
Oh,
now I'll
man.
forever
I
know
hate
that movie to that.
Sharknado.
No, I love it just because of
So-
that one memory. Because at like 3 a.m,
Yeah.
you're laying on your stomach.
We after I took that shot of spicy mustard, we went up into his room and I couldn't move. I was having the worst night of my life. I was in pain. I was
A lot of sweating.
just fucking sweating. I couldn't throw up either. And to make matters worse, we were sitting there from like 10 p.m. to 4 in the morning watching a Sharknado marathon. Possibly the worst movies ever made.
No, it's horrible, but it's so funny how bad it is. That's
And,
what made it so funny at 2 a.m. You get a little delirious and sharks
well,
falling out of
yeah,
the sky.
for
Somehow
you,
becomes
it was
funny.
kind of funny. For me, I will forever have the memory of Sharknado connected with spicy mustard stomach pains, and I don't think I ever want to experience either of those things again. So, yeah, that was the spicy mustard incident, and ever since then, I used to like that shit. Ever since then, I used to eat it on my chicken fingers at the Chinese restaurant. Nope. Ever since then, I can't touch that. Nope.
Your stomach just gets that
Oh,
feeling.
I used to, for a while, just thinking about it, I got sick as fuck. And it was me and my brother, Kyle, who was on the last pod. That happened with us. We live across the street from a lady who used to own, or we lived across the street from a lady who used to own an ice cream truck. And we would go over there and we would buy those packs of like candy cigarettes, and we just fucking ate we ate the sticks, and I got so sick from that I haven't eaten them since. And every time I think of them to this very day, I get a little sick feeling in my stomach, just like I am right now.
There's always those foods. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head that I just ate way too much. Obviously, I'm blanking right now, but there's
Where did
definitely.
I put my... Sorry, continue.
I had just like an odd obsession with like turkey sandwiches, and it was
Ew.
bad, dude. You don't understand though. Like you created the demon. Like
Me? Oh
yeah, dude.
with our sandwiches.
Yeah, dude.
So we used to go to the basketball gym every single day during the summer, and we'd go at
Like we go sometimes
6, 7
as early,
in the morning.
yeah, for men's
6 or
league.
7 in the morning for men's league, which was a
in
bunch
mind,
of
I was,
like
like
40, 50-year-old men.
It
And
was like 14 at the time.
He was
Age limit
14.
was like 18, and they were just like, "Yeah, go ahead, play."
This was when he was like 13, 14, and I was 16, 17, and we were playing with these grown-ass men. Oh, shit. That was my phone. And at first they're just like, yeah, whatever, these little-ass kids. And then you, me, and our buddy Ben, and sometimes our other guy, Eden, he would come with us, and that was even funnier because Eden was really quick, so he would just, if he got the wrong matchup, he would destroy some old dude's ankles.
Eden had the best ball handle out of all of us.
Oh,
so
for sure.
like whenever
He
he had a
was
matchup,
shifty.
he just
Yeah. So
But I mean, Ben broke it.
So
Ben broke.
Yeah, so the old dudes eventually stopped letting us play. Because we were kicking their asses, because it would be
Except
a team.
for you were allowed to play still because you were over the age.
No, not when I was 16.
Oh yeah.
But when I turned 17, I started just telling them I was 18 so I could play, and you guys would watch for the hour that we played.
Yeah.
And sometimes during the last games after people left, you guys would get to play, and like that's true dedication. Like we loved the game. You guys loved the game so much that you would sit there on the gym floor and wait for these old dudes to leave and let us play with more tired old dudes. And, you know, that was something that I really admired. We were truly ballers back then. We went and it sounds silly, but we would go at 6 in the morning, and then we'd be playing basketball all day long, nonstop.
Walk down to Dairy Queen because there was a little Dairy Queen down the hill.
We'd walk down the street.
Walk back up because none of us had cars at that point.
Sometimes we would ride our bikes, and this was a huge hill. This hill was like 3/4 of a mile steep incline, like this. And for a while, we couldn't bike up it. We had to walk our bikes up. And eventually, we're just like, let's see how far we can get. And day by day, we just got further and further until we just got up to the top of the hill, and we just got that final inch and got our bike tires so we wouldn't roll back down. And
on the other end of that spectrum, there's also me riding there with Ben on his sister's bike, which it wasn't like a girl bike. It was like a hybrid bike, like anyone could ride it, obviously, and it was like about my size, a little smaller, obviously, whatever. We rode it up, no problems. It's like 7 or 8 at night. We're done playing basketball. We don't have a ride home, so we're like, all right, we'll just bike back down. It's a steep hill. Keep in mind, we just mentioned.
You were probably like if you pedaled. I'm saying if you pedaled while you went down that hill, you're probably going 25, maybe 30.
I think I was genuinely going that fast because the handlebars like came unscrewed. So like at first I'm wobbling and I'm like, oh my god, this is not good. It's like a major street. I'm like wobbling. This screw's like I could like feel the give every time, like every little bit. It's like getting more and more, and my hands are starting to go like this, and then it just comes undone. And I'm like, all right, well. The brakes still kind of work, but I also can't slam on those because I'm going 30 miles an hour down a street, so like that won't work. That was a very scary time. I did not know what was going to happen there.
Yeah, no, you guys told me that story because I don't know if I was with you at that.
I don't think you were. It was literally like 8 at night, maybe 7, 8 at night. But it was like darkish down that hill, and it was bad.
I'm looking for my inhaler.
Ben's laughing, and I'm like, dude.
I remember one time who was it? Someone that didn't have a bike and they borrowed a bike.
Probably like Eden.
I don't know if it was Eden, but he was going down the hill, and at the end of that hill, there's a big intersection, like a 5-way intersection. And he couldn't stop because the brakes on his bike weren't good. And he just kept going down, and he almost went straight into the fucking intersection. And that was right on Route 1 in Massachusetts, so there were cars going like 50 miles an hour right through that intersection. So that was another memory that we had back then. I feel like we almost died a lot as kids. I feel like
We won't. I don't want to. We won't get too far into this subject, but that walk home, you know what I'm talking
I'm not
about.
even.
Those,
I'm not even gonna talk about it.
No, but
there was a
all we
time
gotta
when
say
we
is the
walked
walk
home
home.
at 1 a.m. It was about a mile walk. And
Center in North Attleboro.
he was 12 years old. I was 15, around then, and we ended up walking home, and it was like cops saw us, and like they were like driving by us like every couple of minutes, and it was, I don't know, it was a really sketchy walk, and yeah, no, it's just
The center in North has been sketchy. I told my parents about this time. It still scares me. Remember when we were here? We thought our parents would say yes to a sleepover. My parents, because they had previously said no. They were out, but I was over here, and I was supposed to walk home like 2 hours ago. But you were like, no, your parents will say yeah, and they were like, no, go home. So you were like, all right, well, I mean, I'll walk you home. We walk out. There was that car going down the street, and you were like, I don't like that. We're gonna go back in. We went inside for 5 minutes, went back out, and we had gone too far to the point where they saw us again. It was that same car. We hid behind a house. They pulled down the street, turned around, and like went by again. And there was just a loud scream from the car. And then you like brought me to like the intersection. Then you ran back, and then I ran to my house. Literally, my phone died at the worst time. So I was like, "This is when it's gonna happen. My phone's gonna die." I'm in my house. All the lights are off. I'm like waiting for it to turn on. I'm like,
this,
"Come on,
this
come on,
kid
come on."
lives like a half a mile away from me. I got him to his house, and as I left his house, this car is like it passed me. It followed me home. Like it was passing me, pulling around a block, and then coming behind me again. And I like fucking ninja'd my way home. Like I was cutting through yards and shit, and like I was young. We were very young.
I was like in my house. I was so scared because, like I said, my phone was dead. But I locked the doors and turned the lights off. I saw the car go by, but they never saw which house I went into. They saw me go onto my street, but then I like hid for a minute. They didn't know what house I was in. So I just looked out the window a little bit. They were like, they went up and back twice. Didn't know which one it was, and I didn't see him again.
That was so weird. I don't know what they wanted or who they were or what they were doing. That was weird.
There was sketchy stuff going on. There was like, did you hear like the scream that came out of that car?
That was the only time I've ever had like a weird experience like that.
Hmm.
I know that in our town now, we were a really safe town when I was growing up. I mean, and we're still a fairly safe town, but I think back in the 70s or 80s, a scandal came out in the early 2000s where there was a priest in our town who like molested a bunch of young children.
Excuse
me. And that was found out in the early 2000s, and then we had Aaron Hernandez who murdered somebody in our town. And since then, it's been downhill. We've had people that like have held up Dunkin' Donuts with AIDS needles and fucking car chases down Route 1.
Yeah, there's been a lot of overdoses lately too.
Recently, we had someone who got held at they got robbed at knife point. Which if someone held a knife up to me and they're like, "Give me your wallet," I'm like, "Bro, I got a debit card in here with maybe $11 on it. I don't carry cash on me because then I'll get robbed. And I might have like a $10 Olive Garden gift card. So I mean, if you want my shoes, you might be able to sell them for $5 or pay someone $5 to take my dirty shoes. Like, you're robbing the wrong guy. Like, if you walk away, we can just pretend this didn't happen because I have nothing to give you. I am poor."
Like, on the other hand, actually, what do you have on you? Like,
yeah, like, can you help me out? Like, so there's...
How many people have you gotten to? You gotta have something in there.
There's a guy who held a woman at knife point in front of Ben's house, and then...
There was a shooting in front of Ben's house.
Well, no, that was inside a house down the street, which Ben lives a street over from me, so it's right next to me, but there was a shooting. Someone got murdered in a house recently, about a couple weeks ago. So yeah, this town is getting kind of kind of sketchy.
Still
with more
not,
people.
still not too bad, but compared to usual, it's
Yeah,
been a little weird lately.
Our city, when we were growing up, it was just small enough where it wasn't able to be considered a city.
Yeah.
But now it's at the point where we have more than enough people to legally be
housing,
declared
yeah.
a city. And they're trying to do that because I believe they get certain financial benefits from the state when they become a city. I don't know. I don't know anything about government. But yeah, no, we're just about to be a city, and now that we have like 5,000 more people than when we grew up in elementary school, it's a lot more people in the center of town. So there's more crime, and it's not very often, but you know, the more people you have, statistically, the more crime you're gonna have. So,
Exactly.
Unfortunately, our quaint little town is slowly becoming a trashy, half Boston, half Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Because we live right on the border of Rhode Island, but we're technically in the greater Boston area.
It's the perfect mix of bad driving.
Yeah.
Both
the mass holes, and possibly the worst drivers in the United States, Rhode Island. But you can't really blame them because their streets basically have 2 feet deep potholes, and
My God, don't get me started.
Their vehicle regulations for inspections are basically a car frame that can power itself. Like, you can have a lot of shit. Like, I've seen people like with duct taped hoods.
Oh yeah.
On there, like, they don't need very many regulations.
One of my friends had a literal ribbon, and he tied it under his hood, and then put duct tape on the side, and then duct taped his grill on there, and then
his grill.
Yep.
His grill. Like, for some reason, I thought you meant like a barbecue grill. Like he's doing like a hybrid, like a diesel grill truck. Like,
nah. Yeah.
He's gonna do some. He's gonna smoke some meats with the exhaust.
His window went out as well, and he put a towel over it for a little bit. They got it fixed, but
dude, I couldn't imagine having a broken window and having to like tape a plastic bag.
Middle of winter.
Oh, man. You know, I used to do a lot of walking in the winter.
We do walking all the time. We'd walk year round for basketball.
Yeah, we walked year round, but the winters here can be rough. They get pretty cold. I mean,
not even snow-wise, just freezing.
Yeah, no, they very often it gets below 0. I mean, there's definitely colder places, especially more up north, but like
also makes for better driving though, because I'm saying that sarcastically because it just means the roads are iced over.
It's like New England drivers in the snow are better, but just like anywhere, it's like snow comes out on the road and it's like people immediately forget how to drive.
Exactly.
And it's like, as long as you leave space in between cars, like there's no issue. You can drive almost the same speed. Just leave space. Like if you don't drive like an idiot, there should be no reason to slow down that much.
One of our friends that we shall not name.
Oh yeah, likes to ride some bumpers. He likes to stop on his brakes late, and
my God, he slams on his brakes.
And I'm sitting there in the passenger seat, and he's like coming up on this guy fast, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then he just skirts to, and I'm like, sometimes I jerk around my car when I turn real fast, but like,
you have a smaller car though. This man would wait. He'd wait until the last second. I mean, he hasn't been in any accidents. Worked for him. He's not a bad driver by any means. He's just a little aggressive. My father is the most aggressive driver I know, and he even admits it himself.
Wait, were you talking about him the whole time?
No, I was talking about Ben.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll just say it now. Ben's a...
Well, he's gonna watch this podcast and he's gonna be like, huh?
Probably not. Yeah. We're a good 30 minutes in. I bet he'll watch the first 10 minutes.
Well, hey, Ben, if you watch this podcast, text us so that we know if you did or not, because we're going to ask you, and if you say you did...
The code word is peanut butter and fuck you sandwich.
Exactly.
He'll know. if he doesn't know, then I know he isn't a real friend and doesn't watch my podcast. You've been called out, bud. So you got to answer the call.
Exactly.
But no, he's been busy lately. I wanted to get him on the podcast. I don't know if he's gonna do it. I think he's genuinely afraid of coming on this podcast because he doesn't like being a goofball on camera, which it's understandable. But
I mean, it's slightly weird for the first minute, and then you get into it, and I kind of forget that we're even doing a video, and then I'm just kind of sitting here talking to you.
Well, that's the thing, because I know at the beginning you were looking at your phone, and I gave you a little swat, but if you're going to do that, just take it away from the mic. That's why well, no, like, while you're opening it, that way the bag isn't crinkling. Yeah. Just put it, like, on this, right here. Just take them out of the wrapper and put them down. No. Alright. You made that way more difficult than it needed to be. Anyway, I don't know what I was saying, but we got Nutter Butters here, so cheers.
I was a little hungry, sorry.
I thought I wanted a snack, but I took one bite of this, and I'm just like, I haven't eaten yet since breakfast. It's about 9 p.m., maybe?
I had 2 tacos from Chipotle.
I've never been a Chipotle guy.
They're tacos.
I don't get what the hype about Chipotle is.
I wasn't the biggest fan at first. Kind of grows on you. It's not bad. Not my favorite place by any means. Their hard shell and soft shell tacos, best tacos for the most part you can get. Their shells are really good. It's a lot better than Taco Bell, like regular tacos and everything.
You think their taco shells are better than Taco Bell?
Oh yeah, their hard shell tacos are literally like, they do it right there. Sometimes the Taco Bell lets it sit and stuff like that, and sometimes the shell is soggy. Shell's never soggy with
I don't mind
Chipotle.
Taco Bell. I don't know. I
don't mind them either.
I don't get Chipotle all the time. I've gotten Chipotle maybe a few times, and I wasn't the biggest.
But I mean, like, some like the tacos that I get, I do like the chicken. I do chicken. I do queso. I do hot sauce, lettuce.
Can I just tell you something that really bugs me?
Huh.
The fact that people call it queso bugs me. Because it's just melted cheese.
Yeah.
Saying it in Spanish doesn't make it any difference. It's fucking cheese. I don't understand that.
No, it's cheese.
And people are like, well, it's Spanish cheese. But, like, no, it's just hot cheese. Like,
it is good, though. Like,
I never got that. I really didn't. It bugs me all the time. And it's, like, one of those weird, like, things that, like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, oh, okay, I'm going to order queso dip. You mean fucking cheese? You're going to order cheese sauce with meat to put on your chips. Queso dip. No.
I mean, on tacos, it goes really well, I feel like, though.
But it's just cheese. It's just melted cheese.
No, it is, but
queso sauce. No. Can I get queso sauce on the side?
The queso in no way makes it better. But, like, the melted cheese itself is just really good on the tacos.
No,
with, like,
I know. I like melted cheese. I'm just making fun of the word.
No, yeah.
Like...
There's no real meaning to it.
I need queso. Can I get a dish of queso sauce? Why can't you just say, can I have a dish of hot cheese?
Well, because, hey.
Queso sauce. Hey. It's like going to a French restaurant and saying, can I get a croissant? Like, it doesn't fully make sense. It's weird.
It doesn't, but, you know, it does make sense. You put the word queso on there, the price goes up like 75 cents.
That's
it goes from
it's exotic.
It goes from $1.25 to $2.50 for one like small container of it.
Funny. Oh man. Although I gotta say, I do love salsa and cheese dip. It's really good.
The hot sauce there is really good. It's chili sauce. No, I know.
I was just...
In general, I like hot sauce in general on things.
Yeah. I used to be a big hot sauce fanatic, but I kind of just don't really eat it as much anymore. I used to eat it on everything. Eggs, mac and cheese, chicken especially, sandwiches. Don't even get me started on the sandwiches we used to make.
Exactly, yeah, that's what I was saying. Oh, that's
How did we get sidetracked off of that?
That's what I was talking about
That's what we were
earlier.
Talking
Yeah,
about.
that's going back to the original point. Oh my god. Spencer was probably a witness a couple of times, but one of my friends, Joe, and a couple of my other friends, we were in a PlayStation party. It's like 2 in the morning. We're playing GTA 5 because, of course, when you're up late with your friends and like
Wait,
early...
I was with you in person?
No.
Oh.
No, it was like just me playing with like them, like Joe, like Robbie, and all them. And of course, like 2 in the morning playing Grand Theft Auto 5, like you're just having a fun time. I'm like, I'm hungry. It's like 8th grade. I go down, I make like a sandwich. I literally put like 1.5 pounds of turkey. I put like so many pickles. I put hot sauce, but I heated up all the turkey. I toasted the bun, put some mayo on there.
Oh. I'm sorry, continue. Finish your story.
And I went on there and I literally ate it in like 3 minutes. And Joe still brings it up to this day. Senior in high school. We're still friends, obviously. He still brings it up and he finds it so funny. But I'd make those like every night. Or like
The fat
2 in the morning, I'd be like boiling mac and cheese pasta shells to make mac and cheese. I was
nice. I used to
fast
do some
metabolism.
nice late night foods.
Exactly. I'd be whipping in the kitchen.
But we originally got off topic of the sandwiches because I was talking about how we'd go to the YMCA and play basketball every single day, all day. And after we got home, we'd go to my house every once in a while and we'd make these sandwiches. And we got home, we walked home like over a mile. We were tired. We were playing basketball, running around all day. And we got home and I'm like, I have the most amazing sandwich making technique, and I showed you this technique, and you're like, come on, like, how fucking serious could this be?
It was the basis of my life for like the basis of my food source
because
for like
basically,
a year and a half after that.
We were so fucking hungry that the food was so good, but what we would do is we would take our sandwich and we weren't allowed to eat any of the ingredients while we were making it, and we were so hungry. So
sandwich
it was
YouTube
tough.
video. This is what it's the main.
Yeah, basically, we're making sandwich tutorial.
Exactly.
So we make the sandwiches. You know, we put the lettuce or the pickles and the cheese and the meats. We heat up the meats. We heat up the cheese. We do all the things you need. We put the mayo mixed with the hot sauce and a little bit of pickles and
a little bit of handcraft, whatever's
some mustard,
exactly.
Yeah. I'd throw in some spices,
some relish, stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't like sweet relish. I used dill
relish.
I
was
used
a
dill
relish
relish.
person.
Yeah. So I mean, I got the Italian blood in me, so I just sprinkle a little of the spice. I know the way around. I can't speak English. I know the way around the spice cabinet. You know, I'm just gonna keep doing that.
Lot of hot sauce on there. Hot sauce made it the best part because it molded everything together.
Yeah, that just melted everything.
Bite.
You know, it melted the mayo,
the hot
with the
cheese,
spices,
the
with
meat.
The cheese.
It was amazing.
And
if you're not making your sandwiches like that,
so
you're wrong. I'm sorry.
We would heat up these sandwiches and we'd make them. We would toast the bread and everything was so good. And we would put the sandwiches on the plate in front of us, and then we would pour ourselves an ice cold glass of like this fruit punch drink.
Was it Hawaiian punch? Or?
No, it was fruit punch. It
was the Minute Maid.
Minute Maid fruit punch.
There we go.
It was so good. And we would in these tall glasses. We weren't allowed to drink any of it. We weren't allowed to eat the sandwich yet. We would go put it on the table,
clean everything
and then we
up.
would have to clean the kitchen first. And then we would clean the kitchen, and the first thing we do is sit down and drink a little sip, and then we would eat. And basically just making yourself wait that much longer
Made it taste
with
that
this
much better.
food making your mouth water, and then you fucking drink this sweet drink before you eat the sandwich, so you get the sweetness of the drink, and then boom, it mixes perfectly with the richness of the cheese and the mayo and all that, and it's just like a fucking flood of deliciousness coming at your face. And that's what she said. But
Little Michael Scott right there.
I don't know. He was like, he didn't understand at first. I'm like, just trust me. Believe me. And we ate these sandwiches, and we're like, these were the best sandwiches we've had in a long fucking time. And I'm like, yeah, I told you. I know what I'm talking about. And
I don't know whether...
We made it a routine. Sorry.
You're good. I don't know whether it was just the sheer memory of how much I loved it the first time that made me just love it every single time, but I am not kidding when I say that for a go-to meal, I would just make that. There were days where I ate it like 3 times a day. I don't eat it as much now, but like even then, like if I'm gonna make a sandwich, I can only make it like that. I can't tell you the last time I made a cold turkey sandwich.
No. See, the thing is, I love heated up turkey and
exactly and
chicken.
Toasted bread.
I'm not the biggest fan of ham, but one thing I was a big fan of.
Roast beef's not even bad if it's
in elementary school. Every single day of my life, I loved bologna. So my mom would make me a bologna sandwich with mustard, and that was it. And I would eat like 2 of those for lunch. And every day, 1st grade to 5th grade, the best taste of my life. I loved it. And then I stopped eating it randomly in middle school. And it wasn't until after I graduated high school that I was at the store and I saw bologna. And I'm like, huh, bologna. Could make a quick and easy snack, nice little sandwich. And if it was as good as it was in elementary school, I'm going to get it.
Elementary school was the best time of my life.
Well,
and that's why peanut butter and jelly is so associated the good times with me.
Peanut butter and jelly with chips.
Exactly.
But let me tell you, the first time I bit into that bologna sandwich in like 13 years, dude, it like flashbacks from elementary school lunchrooms and recess, and it's like,
you're sitting there thinking about the trades you used to make when you were in elementary school, like eating your sandwich. You're like, I have these chips right here for like that, right? And you're like making trades.
That's so funny. I remember
when you eat the peanut butter and jelly 17 years later, or not 17, sorry, when you're 17 years and you're like, why don't I have the same feeling as when I was in elementary school? It doesn't taste the same. It doesn't taste as happy.
Well, I lived off of peanut butter and jelly for a while. When I was a student athlete in high school and I was trying to put on weight.
Yeah, go-to meal.
There was 2 things I would eat all the time.
Chicken and rice.
I would eat... No, that's not what I ate. I would buy loaves of cinnamon bread. And I would literally, 2nd period math class, I would eat I could eat an entire loaf of cinnamon bread in like a 2-period block. And my buddy Seth, to this day, can attest for me. He remembers me bringing in this bread, and I'm just sitting. My teachers never said anything because I got decent grades. This teacher was so chill. He would let you. He let me sleep in the class, but the minute I got below an 85 on my grade, if I fell asleep in class, he'd be like, "Spencer, we're taking notes." And I'm like, dude, I just got an 83 on my last test. My grade went down by 1 point. Calm down. And literally, it was like, if it went from an 85 to an 84, he would change. And then if it went back up to an 85, he wouldn't care. If I had above an 85 in that class, he didn't care if I didn't do homework. He didn't care if I slept. But the thing is, I could sleep in that class and still get above an 85. So it was like a sweet deal. You kind of need teachers like that in school at some point.
I hate teachers that don't let students eat. Like, I understand it's a classroom, but like you're going through 6 hours of exactly.
Yeah, like let them eat.
I'm hungry.
But be like, yeah, you gotta fucking clean up. Like,
and obviously, if they're sitting in like the back of the class or in the front of the row, slomping. That's not a word. Like, going nuts on a sandwich and making ridiculous noises. Like, yeah, ask them to not
there was
eat,
one time, freshman year, in my English class. This class was like 3. Teacher had the whiteboard, so pretend this is a whiteboard right here. And then on this side, she had 2 rows of seats, and their backs were against a wall. Like 2 rows, one in front of the other, and the back one was against the wall. And then on that side, she had the same setup, and then on the far side of the room from the whiteboard. So it was like she was in the middle of like a square of the desks. I was in the back in front of the windows, and that day we were just taking notes, we were taking notes or like reading a book, and I literally brought in Olive Garden leftovers. I had the takeout container. I just took it out of my bag, and I'm eating this Italian bread, and I'm eating like fucking chicken parm or some shit. And like, where she asks me to read, and she looks over at me, and I'm reading, but like she sees the pasta on my desk, and she's like, "Is that chicken parm?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Don't make a mess." That's all she said to me. don't make a mess. And
Yeah,
everyone's just looking at me like, what the fuck? This kid's
Some-
in third period eating chicken parm.
Some teachers trust students. Another thing I also hate about high school is the fact that I was eating lunch at 10:20 in the morning. Like,
Oh,
what is
dude,
what is that?
10:45 lunch for 2 years in a row was
I
the worst.
I had first period lunch. Imagine trying to eat a chicken patty sandwich at 10:20 in the morning.
So me and my buddy, we had the tricks. We would try and get to lunch early in high school because the only good there was two good options of that food because they had the two lines that were the daily options.
Sometimes there was like the daily option was all right and you'd get it, but most of the time there was
we
like
went
two
to
main
different
ones.
schools, so I don't know about your school, but my
I'm
school
gonna assume it's the same.
we had the two daily option lines, which they were different, and then we had the chicken patty / salad line, and then we had the pizza / I don't know what that was line. So I usually got pizza with hot sauce because they had wicked good stuffed crust. But if I didn't get the pizza, if they didn't have the good pizza, I would go and I would get chicken patty because the only thing that was good about the chicken patties was if you got the crispy ones. Because if you got the ones at the bottom of the fucking bin, they were all like soggy and wet. So we would try and get to lunch early, so I would literally get like 3 chicken patties off the top, like because they were right under the light, all heated up and crispy. And because it was 10 in the morning, we would eat our lunch, but then we'd have 2 left over, and we would eat them throughout the day. And that's just what we did, because you can't expect kids to go into school and eat at 10:30 in the morning.
Exactly.
Like, you wanted them to eat pizza at 10, like, make us breakfast.
The school lunches that were served, at least at my school, were atrocious. Like the chicken patty, whatever. I mean, it wasn't horrible. That's what I usually got. The fries that they gave you were not eatable. They were not. No. They were not eatable. They were the soggiest. They were usually cold.
I'm not gonna lie. We had a sleeper meal at my school. As I got to senior year, it feels like the good lunch ladies retired.
Yeah.
But this sleeper meal, my entire high school, it looks fucking gross. But the turkey and gravy with mashed potatoes.
No, it was good.
Literally looked like they heated up a can of cat food, microwaved it, and put it on top of a scoop of microwave mashed potatoes.
Yeah,
that was basically what it was. But
let me tell you, those mashed potatoes.
It was
on a school day.
Well,
oh my
gravy,
god! And you're the
turkey
that also signified that it was getting close to Thanksgiving. So that means you were going to get that 2.5 days off, that half day of school, that Thanksgiving day off, and the day after, and then the weekend.
But they would do that.
Yeah, and they throw it out
Thursday.
Yeah, they throw it out spontaneously too. It was so good. Oh, we got that same meal when I was in elementary school. Yeah, it did.
It literally looks like cat food.
If we're gonna be honest, if you want everything based off of looks for what you ate at school, you'd bring lunch from home. That's what I did all my life. But I'd grab some lunches.
The pizza at my school, especially the one with the cheese crust, kind of looked like a slopped together, greasy mess. But like it was crispy pizza and it was good. It had cheesy crust.
Some of the happiest times of my life were elementary school, because Tuesdays we had pizza day. Well, not pizza day. They served pizza.
On Tuesdays?
Yeah, and it was they'd get delivery pizza.
Why is our school food experiences so similar? It's Michelle Obama. That's why.
Well, because this is before Michelle. They were bringing in boxes of pizza. Sometimes Domino's, sometimes Papagino's, and you'd get slices. You'd go back for seconds. They'd slide you some more pieces.
In elementary school, well, I remember kids started getting in trouble because on pizza day, they would start using the ranch dressing for their pizza, and they did not like that at the school because I think the teachers used the ranch for their salads or whatever, and like the kids were using all the ranch or something, but they were anal about it. They freaked out. Like they were like, "No more ranch!" They made an announcement at lunch. Because they did the thing where everyone was talking. They would turn off the lights and everyone just shut the fuck up, and they would turn off the lights. And they were like, from this point on, we are not doing ranch on pizza anymore. And I'm like, everyone's like, what the?
Just get more ranch.
Fuck? Like, what? What? Why can't we put ranch on our pizza? Ranch does not belong on pizza. Like, this teacher had a personal vendetta against ranch on pizza, and I'm like, what the fuck is so wrong with this?
She probably hates pineapple.
But
don't even get her started on pineapple and pizza.
I never tried it until middle school, and then because I like pineapple pizza, but
Oh, yeah,
get ready for this.
I don't think it's bad at all.
I put pineapple
it,
pizza. I put pineapples on pizza, and then I dip that in ranch every
Couldn't do
once
it.
in a while. Oh,
For whatever reason, I'm really not the biggest ranch fan.
Either,
Fan. I'm a big blue cheese guy, but I can't do the big chunks of cheese. Like, I like the actual sauce, not the chunks of cheese itself. But I like blue cheese a lot. Buffalo chicken calzone with some blue cheese.
You're making me hungry, buddy.
Yeah, I know, dude.
And we're an hour in, so I mean, we're not gonna be eating for a little bit. But I mean, no, we've been talking about food basically this whole time. So I'm gonna change the subject up just directly like that.
Yep.
To what? I don't know. No, that's a lie. So what have you been doing in your free time? Because I know you're working. I know you're a waiter at Cracker Barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Love Cracker. I'm not trying to talk about food again.
No,
so
I know. We won't get into
about that.
We won't get into the food aspect.
But what you doing with what do you got going on in your life?
Well, like you said, I've been working a lot. I'm currently in the process of applying for, or not in the I'm in the process of applying for CCRI. My main goal, what I think I want to do at the moment anyway, is become an X-ray technician.
Nice.
I like that. It's a fast 2-year program. I do have to pick a backup, I believe, backup major. I have to think about what I want to do for backup.
Well, I feel like for a backup, you could probably do 2 different options. You could do something that's closely related to your primary major. That way you can combine them, or you could do something that's a little different. That way you have like a second option. But I didn't go to college. I went to a trade high school, so
yeah, I was thinking of just doing a straight. I was thinking of trying to go to straight trade school for X-ray technician. I don't know if they do that, but I was looking to see if there were programs out of like Tri-County possibly that do it. I wasn't sure. I don't think there were.
I think they do after school programs, but I don't know with COVID what they're doing now.
Yeah,
I'm assuming they're probably not.
Well, a lot of things are opening back up with COVID, actually.
Right now. So next year they're probably going to do it. I know they had a nursing program and they had a night welding school. Because I was in welding, and they would use the same welding shop, and they would always leave messes, and it was a pain in the ass. Because our fucking gear, we couldn't leave our gear out, because literally these grown-ass men would steal from fucking high schoolers. Like, if you left your welding mask in your welding booth, the booth that's assigned to you, overnight, they might steal it.
I always loved the aspect. I know this is very off topic. We'll continue. Please keep.
Continue.
But I always loved the aspect of it. I only went to see it one time myself. But I always loved the aspect of Tri-County, like car wise. Like they'd have high school students working on cars, and that was really cool to me.
Yeah,
because they were like, if I could go back, I probably should have listened to you. And
I told everyone. I told Danielle.
Should have.
I told you.
I'm not a fan of change in any way, shape, or form, and I found that to be a big change. I should have overcame that, but I didn't, and that's a little bit of a regret that I have, but I also love the connections that I formed over the high school that I did go to. But having that trade coming out would have been a big help. Like, you having that welding trade, you're not, like...
I'm 21 years old, and I have 5 years of welding experience.
Exactly, so...
Which, how many people can say they have 5 years of welding experience? I could... Bless your soul.
Thank you. I think I'm good.
I could hop onto a welder at any point. I can do stick. I can do.
I was always fascinated by the work you would do
MIG
as well.
any day. Stick. I can do TIG for aluminum and steel.
Could you do underwater welding?
Well, that's totally different.
It is okay. I wasn't sure.
Which I believe that's such a high paying job though, because one, you gotta be bless your soul.
That's what I think.
I don't know why I'm saying your soul all of a sudden, but one, you gotta be scuba certified, I believe.
Yeah. That's probably not the
That's
hardest
tough.
thing. It's like tough,
I'm not a big water fan either.
Me neither.
They basically push you
I
underwater.
kind of max out at doggy paddle for the most part. I can obviously do like the full strides, but I hate doing that. I find it so tiring.
Well, you're basically in the water until like they basically almost drown you, and it's like I don't really want to weld underwater that badly because like even when you do that, the average life expectancy when I was in high school at least was 28 for an underwater welder. So yeah, you could retire by the time you're 30, but the average life expectancy
how much time do you have after that?
So like. I mean, I could make $100,000 a year.
Probably not
with
worth
a few
it as
years
much.
of schooling, but like,
either way, you still have the whole welding experience in and of itself, so that's a very big help as well.
Let me just decline this call because my Rocket League teammate is calling me, and I need to tell him that I cannot play right now because
Playing some car soccer later.
Yeah, gotta hop on there in a little bit.
Yeah.
Alright, on a podcast. Now, I'll know if Noah watches this. So, Noah, if you're watching this, the password is peanut butter peanut butter and fuck you sandwich. That's the password. So
YouTube, don't demonetize us, please.
I already swore so much in the last episode. I'm not worried about it.
What happens?
But yeah, no. Now I'll know if Noah watched it. I'll ask him what the password is, and we'll see what he says. So this should be uploaded by tomorrow morning, I believe. I'm gonna try and upload it before I go to bed. So that should be Friday morning. That you'll be able to watch this.
You know, I'll say I am a big fan of these. Just not even like. Just coming and sitting and talking for like hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, however long it may be, is there's just something so like calming about it. I really do like it. Like, I got a taste of it for 30 minutes the other night, and I immediately wanted to do it in my free time whenever I could, and this opportunity came up, and I called you immediately last night because I wanted to do it so bad.
Literally, this is the day after the first podcast, and you said you wanted to do it. I'm like, okay. And that's awesome. I've had a bunch of people ask to be on. I've had somebody try and link me with one of his friends who does a podcast on Spotify, which I gotta figure out how to get this bad boy on Spotify. That'd be fucking dope.
Even like Apple Music has podcasts, I think, too.
I don't know. I don't even use Apple, so why would I endorse their product?
You don't use Apple. We endorse Spotify, but I have Apple Music, and I don't like Apple Music, so I'm with Spotify. I just don't have it. It's too much of a hassle to switch over.
Spotify doesn't have some music, just because Jay-Z owns Tidal. So there's a lot of Jay-Z and Jay-Z related music that isn't on Spotify.
Spotify seems to have a lot of beef with like rappers for some reason.
Well, Jay-Z owns the rights to his music, and so his music's based. I mean, do they have any Jay-Z on Apple?
Oh yeah, they have all Jay-Z.
They do?
Oh yeah. Huh. At least I listen to like Empire State of Mind, like all like the big songs.
Well, I feel like those are just the classics because I think they got like "Run This Town" and like the song about the dudes in Paris. So,
if you want to know where they are, there's a video of Kanye. He tells you where they are, but we can't. It's a mystery until you go watch his video.
Yeah, I can't say that.
He tells you why they're in Paris too, if that interests you at all.
So. Although that song, the one thing I love about that song is the clip from what are you doing, bud? What's it called? Have you seen the movie Blades of Glory?
Oh my god, I love that song.
No,
that
movie.
song. Well, no, I know, I love the movie. The movie itself is good
song.
with Will Ferrell, but the actual like bass line.
I don't even know what that means.
Nobody knows what it means, but it's provocative. Got the people going.
I love that they put that because I heard the song before I watched the fucking
exactly.
Movie. So when it happened in the movie, I'm like, wait, what? What?
The best part is when you're listening to the song and like a couple months in, you're like, that voice sounds really familiar in that part. Who is that? And you look it up and you're like, Will Ferrell, and then you watch the movie and you just
was it Will Ferrell?
Oh yeah, look it up. It's Will Ferrell. So he in the movie they're getting ready.
For some reason I thought it was the guy who he did.
No, they're getting ready to skate, and he goes, "There's one." He goes, "There's one song we're gonna skate to, and one song only." And then he starts going with the whole rest of
Well, I don't even know what the actual song was that he was talking about.
Well, no, the movie itself came out before the song.
Yeah, I know the movie. In the movie, he was talking about a song,
I don't know what song it
and
was.
I don't remember what it was. Oh, we can look it up.
To one song only.
If I had a Jamie, I could have it put up on my computer screen so people could watch it with us. But I don't have a Jamie. We're at
Ben will be working for us soon. Don't worry about it. Give us a couple of months. Ben will be our Jamie.
Were you looking at the time?
I'm kidding, but Ben will be on. What?
Were you looking at the time?
What do you mean?
I thought you were looking at the time on the screen. Never mind.
Oh.
Let me look that up because I want to know the song now. I skate to one song and one song only. Right here.
Can one of y'all pass me a biscuit? You got another 5 miles, then you get a Luna bar.
So, Coach, I was thinking about the music for our routine.
Really? We're gonna skate to one song only. Lady Humps by the Black Eyed Peas.
Lady Lumps!
Makes it even better.
My lovely Lady Lumps. I love it. That is great. I can't believe I forgot that. For some reason, I immediately thought Shakira, Hips Don't Lie, but it's a very similar song, so easily confusable. But
Will Ferrell's great. I
he's
honestly
good.
love him so much. I love every movie for the most part he's in.
Did you see when he pitched? He pitched for the Dodgers for a preseason game. He pitched for a batter. He got an out, dude. He actually got a ground ball out against a professional baseball player, which I think is fucking amazing. It's legendary.
There's a video. I mean, not a video. There's a movie that he does. It's actually a really well-known movie. So, what is it? It's sorry, I won't talk about that. It's the one with Mark Wahlberg. Daddy's Home or something like that.
I didn't watch those movies.
Yeah, but
yeah,
so there's one scene where they're at a game and Will Ferrell gets a half court shot. He's a couple of beers in, so he takes the
Wait,
ball.
is that the one where he hits a lady? Yeah.
He takes it. He just absolutely spikes on his face. On her face, I mean.
Nice.
It was the funniest thing. I remember watching that. It was so funny.
What a quality movie. That dude has some classics.
Yeah. There were a lot of
man.
classics. Ben Stiller's another good one. Underrated. I like Dodgeball, the one he does with Mike Vaughn. No, not something Vaughn. Vince Vaughn. No.
Wait, what's movie?
Dodgeball, an underdog story. You can dodge a bench. You can dodge a ball.
That's I don't know who that guy is.
Yeah.
I know Ben Stiller. I don't know who the
It's
other
Vaughn. Guy. Something Vaughn. I forget. I don't know. But Ben Stiller's the other one, and then there's a lot
That
of.
was a classic.
That was a really good one.
One of my favorite actors of all time is Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler's great.
Big Daddy.
So many money drops though.
Big Daddy was one of my favorite movies growing up.
No, when he first started, he was doing really, really good movies. Billy Madison was a classic.
I hear his newest one, Uncut Gems.
Oh, I watched that.
That's
really no, I won't ruin it. But
I heard
that's
it's
really
good.
You should definitely watch that, especially
it's about
with
gambling.
It's about gambling, but the way they do the storyline. So Kevin Garnett's in it. That's not a spoiler. Kevin Garnett's in it.
I remember and they were talking about
the way they do the.
People had an issue with it because they were saying the betting isn't even realistic. Which I don't know anything about.
It's probably
betting,
not, but they try their best to match it up with the actual gameplay itself. So I think that's pretty cool.
Oh, it's based off like a real game?
It's based off the Celtics and Knicks series, maybe. Something like that. From like years back. But it all revolves around Adam Sandler, obviously, and gambling. It's a great movie.
See, I've heard good things about it. I haven't seen it though.
I'm not endorsing the show because I feel like I myself hopped on the trend of it so late because I was like 5 years late to watching it. I watched it last year.
What?
You ever watched the show Breaking Bad?
No, was never a fan. My parents watched it, and I kind of watch episodes every once in a while. And like, I could see how it was interesting, but
I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty like when you're first watching it, season 1 is hard to get into, and that was always the biggest problem for me. But
I don't even know if I made it past the first episode.
Yeah, once you get into it though, once you're like on to season 2 and season 3, it's really good. I'm not like I said. I only watched it last year. I've only watched it one time.
You know,
But
you know
heard
what
of
I
it for a
used,
while.
you know what I used to watch
What?
when I was a kid. Growing up in like middle school, back when you had actual cable, um, I had, I would just come home from school and I would watch like Cartoon Network, and I was scrolling through the channels, and I found the fucking History Channel, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck is this? And it was Ancient Aliens, and I loved Ancient Aliens. I thought it was the fucking coolest shit ever. I'm like, well, that makes sense. That's a great. Well, ancient astronaut theorists think this, so it's got to be true. It's realistic. And some of the points they make are pretty fucking good. Like there is some weird shit in some of the ancient ruins. But that's not aliens in my opinion. I think historically, and I've done a lot of historic research. Historically, I think human civilization was around a lot further back than what actual historians believe.
Probably the timeline's probably a little bit off. Hard to fill in that many years.
I feel like, especially in Egypt, there was an ancient civilization that was then later on built on top of. And because the Sphinx was around before the pyramids, but they've always said that they're similar age, but there's been geologists that have studied the water erosion on the Sphinx, and the water erosion that's on the Sphinx didn't match up with the climate when the pyramids were being built, and it actually would be thousands and thousands of years before when the pyramids were built that it would have the climate where
I just think I think it's funny that some people choose to like look past a lot of inconsistencies and think that
history amazes me because the possibilities. I think humans at one point.
That's the best part. The possibilities, though.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so fun to talk about.
I mean, our Earth
for sure
is how many? Is our Earth 3 billion years old? I think Earth is 3 or 4 billion. Years
I think
old.
it's like 3.5 billion years old or something. Like
so
that.
Life has been on this planet. I don't know how long life. I think a billion years it's been on this planet. But they think humans have been around for like 100,000 years or something, or I don't know.
I feel like
I haven't talked about this subject in so long. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I personally believe that it's entirely possible that humans could have gotten to a level like this, a level of advanced technology where we're at. Like even some technology that they had technology in some cultures that we still can't figure out how they did certain things. And I think that just because they made things out of stone, I don't think that makes them unintelligent, because
that was the resources they had at the time.
Not even. So that's what people say. Oh, well, they only had stone. They couldn't do metal. Well, if you make a building out of metal and make a building out of stone, and then you just abandon them, which one's going to last longer?
The one made of stone.
Yeah. So what if they had skyscrapers like we did? Because if human civilization right now abandoned, like if we just left and deserted our cities, I believe the timeline would be about 1,000 years. All of our cities would be covered in jungle. Only 1,000 years. So how many times could human civilization... There's been times where humans have been dropped down to, they say, anywhere from a few dozen humans on Earth to maybe 1,000. And who knows how many times that's happened. I mean, we're coming out of an ice age right now.
Exactly.
And the Earth was already slowly warming up. And then as humans evolved and we got into the Industrial Revolution, we accelerated the speed. So they think it's going to kill us. I don't know. I think humans are one of the most resilient and adjustable animals on Earth.
I think it might negatively affect us a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, people aren't going to care about that. And it means
I think it's going to have
everything's driven by in today's society.
It's going to have a lot of issues with the Earth. I think Earth is so fucked. I think if we don't leave Earth or fix Earth, we are going to die on Earth.
I think Elon Musk knows that if he doesn't try and start something now, the grounds for it might not even ever be set up because
And the problem is just
there's a lot of problems that go along with it. I feel like though,
it's
like
just the sheer we don't.
the sheer will that would take, and you look at what's happened recently.
We make trash.
Well,
why do you make trash?
Exactly.
Like,
But
we can make. Sorry,
No, you're good. You're
we
good.
continue.
So you look at like what's happened recently, and even if like this is even guessing, obviously, but this would never happen. I don't think it'll ever happen in our generation. But if like it gets to the point where they do need to abandon and like go somewhere else, and they somehow even make that possible,
Not a lot of
look
people will
what's-
be able to go.
look what's happened in today's world, like with like. I'm not saying it's like a bad thing or like whose side's right or wrong, but it turns into like a split side, and there'll be some people that are like, no, I don't want to go. I don't trust it. There's something wrong with what's going on over there.
Well, I think
people
the
won't trust
first
it.
people will be the elites or the reptilian people that run the world. So like,
Justin Bieber slithering up.
no. So there's definitely people on Earth that we can't really comprehend with how much power they have.
Yeah.
Like the Illuminati, like there's like the presidents of countries, there's like the kings or whatever, and then there's the rich people who own these companies, and these companies own companies that own companies, and they don't directly have all this wealth, but they own a company that has all this wealth. So there's basically people who secretly rule the world almost with their influence
Basically.
because they fund certain areas and they fund governments and they fund, so they have control. So you got big companies, especially more public companies now like Facebook and all these other companies that have the money power. Amazon has more money than many, many small countries. They have enough power to be their own country, which they're out in the open. That's Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world. There are people, I guarantee you, who have more wealth than Bezos. Not necessarily more net worth.
Yeah, but more
not
like
net worth, but more wealth. They have more value and control over things than Bezos does.
I think it's also really like
But that's
really
the thing.
funny.
You can't imagine the amount of wealth
Yeah.
and power Bezos has. So the fact that there's probably people who have more wealth and power.
And with power comes manipulation, and I think that's why it's funny though, because with platforms like Instagram and Facebook, and we were talking about the other day, like stuff like Reddit, it's funny because people are looking into this more now, and they're forming groups, and they're kind of like flipping it up to the point where Robinhood had to be like, hey, like we can't sell this stock anymore, like it's gonna make people lose a lot of money.
Well, that's not even. Are you saying the problem was with the people making these groups?
Well, no, I'm saying there shouldn't be people that can dictate like. It's a big.
If they can stop selling the stock.
Because
I agree.
I know it's a big jump to go to the stock market, but the stock market controls a lot of things.
Well,
It
that's
controls our way
the
of
Wall
life.
Street investors,
Exactly.
the big money organizations, and
So it's
hedge
funny
funds.
because with like Instagram and Reddit and all these
Yeah.
platforms, it's flipped, and it's kind of like affected them in a negative way to where they were before, because they could do all this behind the scenes and it wasn't shown.
It's
So I think it's funny, like the amount of power that like we have if like we come together as well.
That's the thing.
Like the groups of people, the communities on social media.
That's the thing. There are empires all throughout history, more specifically the Roman Empire. Or not the Roman Empire, sorry. The Persian Empire. And the thing that made the Persian Empire so huge is when they would take over an area, they would claim the land and they say, you can keep your culture, you can keep your religion, whatever. We just need soldiers from you and you need to comply. Or you're going to be a slave. So they became such a big power because, all right, do we want to be a slave or do we want to help the military, the biggest military in the world, take over more land and make us richer? Or do we want to, and we get to keep our religion and way of life. They're not trying to force us to change. What would you rather do? Would you rather have to go serve in the military and maybe die? Or would you rather live a life in slavery? But on the other hand, if you serve in the military, you get to keep your religion, your culture, your language, everything. So that's basically what they did. I don't know what I was connecting that to.
Were we connecting it to Wall Street and like the stocks?
Yeah. The power is really in the people, because if they decided to say, hey, fuck you. Like,
If
the
everyone
army-
decided to go and buy currency in like
the-
certain aspects,
yeah,
then it
in
would
a-
just topple things.
in a way, that one army was formed by everyone choosing, like, okay, we'll listen to them. But if all the countries that they took over decided, hey, who the fuck is this king of Persia dude? We don't want him ruling anymore. They could all just team up and kick him out, which I believe is eventually what happened at the end of that dynasty. So
You know what else has been discussed as... I don't think it'll happen,
Oh,
but
sorry.
discussed
So
as...
my final point was, yeah, the group masses of people can really control the higher ups, and people don't realize that.
I think it would be very funny because people now not now realize, but people say that if there were to ever be a stock that went over the dollar limit, then it could like just like not necessarily crash things, but if like that happened, it could be very bad for a lot of people. I think that'd be really funny because they don't know what could happen if that happens.
I don't know
but,
what
like,
you mean. I don't know
so-
enough about stocks. I don't know
So
what you mean by going
obviously
over
the US
dollar
the
limit.
US dollar has a like $1 to its name. Like that's what we drive
Yeah.
everything off of. So sorry. So with stocks, I don't know much about them either. I mean, I could be wrong about certain aspects, but like with stocks, everything's like based off of a number. So like Dogecoin got really high, like it got to a really high percent. It was worth every one stock was worth 0.67%.
Isn't it worth like 34 cents now?
Well, it dropped down a little bit. It got up to like 60 cents.
No way. What?
Yeah,
I
it got
remember that.
ridiculously high, along with a couple of other stocks. GameStop got up to like 60 cents too for a little bit. But yeah, so they don't know what like 60 cents was ridiculous. People were if you sold, you made a lot of money. They have no idea what would happen if it went past like $1. If it broke if it broke the highest current currency there is, which is our dollar, they don't know what would happen because what if Dogecoin holds more weight than $1? Then our government is
Well, isn't that technically what's happening with Bitcoin?
technically, but Bitcoin's not there yet.
See, I don't know entirely too much about cryptocurrency, but from what I understand about Bitcoin and how it functions, I feel like it's going to be dangerous because there's a limited amount of Bitcoin.
Yep.
There's, I think, 22 million Bitcoins that you can mine.
And a lot of it.
Well, hold on. As you continue mining Bitcoins, the formulas that your computer needs to solve get more and more complicated. And there's a limit on Bitcoin. So eventually, the Bitcoin value will stay. And if you own a lot of the Bitcoin, like, you're a wealthy, wealthy dude. So who's to say that bigger companies like Amazon or Elon Musk or, like, any rich person, who's to say they can't set up these big, massive, like, startups and just start mining astronomical amounts of Bitcoin now? That way, down the line, they're going to have a vast share. And I'm probably sure they're doing it.
Bitcoin's different than Dogecoin, but you look at what Elon Musk does. Elon Musk directly affects Dogecoin now. You buy stock in...
He's been messing around with Tesla stocks.
No, yeah,
for
he
his own
has.
profit
But so you look at, like, Dogecoin... Not Dogecoin. No, Dogecoin and Bitcoin, they're similar concepts, obviously a lot different. Similar concepts, though. And he's trying to lower Dogecoin right now because, like we said, it was at 60 cents. That's what the stock was at. You put it, like, the way he does for everything else, he puts it lower. He's going to buy more of that stock itself.
Well, that's what he did with Tesla.
Exactly.
Whenever he would talk about the Tesla stock, it would go down. And why do you keep checking your phone?
I'm just looking at what time it is.
You can see what time it is there, bud.
My eyes aren't that good.
It's almost 10 o'clock. We got about an hour and 20 minutes so far. But
may have to take off around 10ish.
Okay, we can go a few more minutes.
Yeah, definitely. No, definitely.
Just wrap up. But
so yeah, also with Bitcoin as well, though. I was talking about it with my uncle AJ. There's a lot of people that just don't like they bought Dogecoin. I mean, I keep mixing them up. I'm sorry, but they bought Bitcoin so long ago because it came out a while ago and it's getting popular now. But it came out so long ago. They bought it. They bought a decent amount back then, which is now worth a lot more because at the time it was a lot less. So they have no idea what their login is. There's millions and millions of Bitcoins that will never be seen again just because of the fact that people don't know their passwords and you can never get them back because that was the password stuff with them.
Yeah, that's another issue with it. You can take your Bitcoin wallet and you can download it onto a flash drive. And if you destroy that flash drive, that's all your Bitcoin gone. You can't get that back.
Yep.
So who's to say people can't mine a bunch of Bitcoin, destroy Bitcoin? I don't know. I feel like there would be a way
There's too much fluctuating.
There would be a way to destroy Bitcoin while at the same time having a majority holding of it. That way you're not destroying so much Bitcoin that you're wasting all your Bitcoin, but you're destroying Bitcoin enough to increase your value because it's becoming rarer. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I feel like that could happen.
Another thing that won't happen, but would be funny, like, obviously if one stock got over, like, one certain one got over $1, it might not be that big of a deal. It'd be bad for certain people, but it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But imagine if, like, so many people start going into stocks that, like, so many go, like, there's like 4, 5, 6. That's when you start having a problem, because then regular currency is like, well, that's like a fourth factor at that point, which is what Elon Musk has somewhat talked about when he said, like, the downfall could be cryptocurrency, kind of. And it's a fear among people because they don't know how we would adapt necessarily.
So,
and I hate to relate it back to Rick and Morty, but there's a funny scene in Rick and Morty where they, like, Rick's like, I'm gonna destroy this entire community, and they're like, how? And he goes, watch this, and he sets the government bill from $1 to $0. The entire government collapses. They're like, well, who's getting paid? How am I doing this?
Well,
how's that happening and stuff like that?
That's an interesting.
And
concept.
That wouldn't happen. That's a funny episode. That's why I was just bringing that up.
That's
that won't happen.
Interesting concept, because who's to say that some other country isn't developing a technology where they flick a switch or press a button, and then boom, all of our credit cards and all of our debit cards stop working. You can't go to the bank and grab your money. They shut all the electronics down. Who's to say that doesn't happen? What happened? That would cause
a long time ago, but
that would cause anarchy.
When there was the Great Depression, obviously, banks ran out of money out of nowhere, and people tried to run to banks to get money, and they were getting they were getting assaulted because banks had no money left, and people were trying to get their life savings, and they were like, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
That's
gone. I don't know.
Very
what to tell
similar to what would happen, except we have a lot more people. And,
exactly, and there's a lot more wealth than there was then too. There wasn't as much
I don't know because nowadays you can't make money or you can't get rich by saving money. That doesn't happen. In order to get rich,
you have to do stuff on the side. You
gotta invest in something. You gotta
gotta do something smart with your money.
Whether it be stocks or metals or you invest in a business. If you keep your money in the bank, you're not gonna gain money as fast as if you make investments and put it into other things. They always say multiple streams of income. So yeah, like a side job is good, but if you're investing in like businesses and you have a share of businesses and those businesses are making money, or like say you own a McDonald's restaurant because they franchise. So you buy a McDonald's restaurant. You're making money, but you don't have to be there all the time.
Exactly.
Or if you have an apartment that you rent out. And that's how you really make wealth. And the tough part isn't doing that. The tough part is it's easier than ever to invest your money to increase your wealth.
Well, my parents, the
tough part is getting your money to the point where you can invest a decent amount to keep making that money.
My parents, unknowingly, when we live in like a condo. They now, because they had a mortgage on it, but they now outright own our half of the house, and they've renovated it so much to where they're gonna buy a house or buy somewhere down in like Florida or somewhere down south like that, and they're gonna keep this one. They're gonna rent it out. They're gonna make a lot of money because they have a dishwasher, they have appliances, they have hardwood floors, they have 2 bedrooms, a finished basement.
Yeah, no, that could be a source of income, and if they take a mortgage
and apartments and stuff like that are also a great source of income as well.
If you go down south, there's some really, really cheap houses.
Exactly,
down south.
and
like you
warm
can get
weather as well. Love warm weather.
You can get a house like those big like LA mansions. Like you can get a house very similar to those. Those houses goes for millions of dollars. If you can get a house like that for like $500,000, $400,000.
You see the jokes, and it's like the Texas jokes. It's like, yeah, I just bought this house for $7 and a piece of bread. And it's like this
Texas.
giant mansion. Still can't talk. Giant mansion, but no, like it has weight to it, like the joke itself. But everywhere down south is really cheap, and it's really
It's
that's a
interesting.
it's a
So I mean, yeah,
good place to go.
you could, you could take a mortgage off, and especially if you do it young, you get a mortgage, and you can start accruing multiple properties. Let's
Slight death over here. Don't worry.
oh yeah, you guys like hearing that, huh? All right, we're back. Deep breath. We're good. Yeah, no, if you can get multiple properties when you're young and be able to rent them out. My goal, eventually, is to get enough. I want to own properties to rent them out, as well as invest in different businesses. Some businesses I already know what I want to do. Some we'll figure out along the way. But if I can get enough money from owning property that it pays for the expenses of owning the properties, you won't you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the amount of rent that I'm getting,
Pays
the
for
amount of rent that's coming in from all my tenants
pays
pays
your
for the
daily
expenses
living.
of owning. Yeah, it pays for my bills. Once my bills can get covered from passive income,
Then you can save
you'll
all
never
your
see
money.
me. You'll never see me.
Exactly. You can save it. You
I'll
can
be
invest
gone.
it however you like. Stuff like that.
Yep, I will be traveling the world, experiencing life, and that's the goal. That's where I want to get to, and hopefully I can do that by the time I'm 30. I can start traveling and being comfortable. I mean, I don't expect to have all my bills being paid by
No, but even
passive
still,
income
paying
by the time
like
I'm 30, but
imagine having like $150 in like all your bills because you're renting stuff out. Like $150 a month, not that bad compared to what you'd be making in like a regular. Regular salary.
You work a full-time job, but you only have to pay for $150 a month after you get your rent. That would be
obviously,
that's basically nothing.
Obviously, money's money, but like in today's world, that's like not nothing, but obviously a lot less than what would usually be.
Yeah, no, that's the goal. Once you can get into a really comfortable spot where your expenses are covered by your passive income, that's when your life is gonna be at its peak, and that's the goal. That's where I want to get. How exactly, I don't know.
There's
I
always
have
a way
some
there,
ideas. There's some ideas.
Comes with creativity. You have plenty of that.
I have some things that I think could be decent inventions. I have business ideas. I have all these different ideas that I don't even write down, that they're in my head, and I'm not going to say anything because some of them I think are actually legit. Like, if I have money to start up a company, I think some of them could fill a niche that could make it very successful. So I'm not going to talk about those.
Exactly. We don't want anyone stealing these precious ideas.
Well, there's some ideas that probably won't work, but then there are ideas where I'm like, that's a fucking good invention idea.
Exactly.
Like, I'm keeping on to that.
Well, that's the whole point of it. Your brain's just got to keep working through everything. There's some things that you'll think of that'll be like, oh, that's good, and then you're thinking back and you're like, you know what?
And yeah,
that's the beauty of it, because you work on it in your mind as well, and you just keep going as well.
Yeah, no.
All the free time you have, all the extra time you have to think.
Hopefully one day before I turn 60, so I can retire. Hopefully I can retire before I'm 40. That's my goal, I guess, in life. If I could retire before 40, let me tell you, man.
That'd be a dream.
Happy dude.
Yeah.
I'd be living the life. I'd be learning.
I'd have no complaints. I'd be doing stuff different I'd be doing different stuff every day.
My dream is to travel the world and stay in different cultures for extended periods of time.
Gain knowledge of certain aspects
go
of
to
things.
Europe and live in different countries for a month or two, or whatever it may be. That's go hiking in the Appalachian Trail. Go down to South America and see ruins. I want to do all these things in my life, and I can go and do these things while I'm young and while I'm working. but the bulk of that won't be won't be done until I have majority of my costs covered.
You don't want to have worries in life, like when
Yeah.
you're doing things, it takes away from the experience.
Because obviously, less money you have to pay per month for bills, the longer you can stay gone. Which ideally, it sounds weird that, I just want to leave. Like, I want to, like, no, I want to travel. I want to explore. I want to have adventure and witness all the different things. Like, Earth and humans are so different. I would give anything to
The way Earth and life is interpreted by different cultures as well is always interesting. Figuring out how they view certain things is always a facet of nature that not a lot of people get to see, opening your horizons to new
I'm not gonna lie.
ideas.
If I could get a plane ticket to wherever I want, one plane ticket on the first day of every month, and I could have food expenses covered, if all I had to worry about was food, if I didn't have to worry about food or travel costs, and I just gave up everything in return for those for the rest of my life, I would do it. I would travel around the world, and that's what I would do. But, obviously I gotta actually get to the point where, hey, I can cover costs while I'm not working, or I can go and I can work from anywhere in the world because I can work on my businesses over this computer on the internet or anything like that. If like that's the goal. That's the goal in life for me, at least. That's what I see as someone as. That's when I think someone's successful. That's what I think. Like, they have the ability to do that. They have that freedom. That's success, in my opinion. So that's where I'm kind of going. I mean, I'm making a big point about talking about it a lot. We didn't really talk about it a lot this podcast, about getting to that point and really succeeding in life. We talked about it a lot, especially with mindset, with my brother yesterday. But yeah, no, in general, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm just going to keep grinding until I can get comfortable, man. And when I get comfortable, I'm not even going to stay comfortable. I'm going to push myself into uncomfortable positions to learn about the diversity of humans. I'll go sleep in the jungle. I'll go, I don't care. I'll fucking, I'll go camping on the Appalachian Trail. I'd do that shit. That'd be so fun.
I would.
But,
it's a dream for right now, but it's a realistic one that you can get to.
It'll happen. But, it's a work in process. I'm a young guy. But, you're 17. You just graduated high school. You got plenty of time to do what you want to do.
Yeah. I don't want to think about it too much yet.
But, well...
Fortunately, I have to. And
the
I am
sooner
thinking
you think about it, the better. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Because then less you have to worry about later on. But,
I had a great time talking on this podcast.
You'll
see me in the future.
We're going to be planning some podcasts down the road. With our cousin Danielle as well. He'll probably stop in for other podcasts, but we had a nice talk. We talked about a lot of stuff we haven't really talked about in a while, so it was nice to rehash a lot of fond memories. But it's getting late. It's about 10 o'clock, and I got to
play some car soccer.
Got to do some car soccer practice, and I got to eat some food because I haven't eaten since 12 hours ago. But yeah, we're going to end it here while Jason's sitting there texting on his phone. We are going to call it. So if you guys enjoyed this podcast, I would love it if you liked and subscribed. And one of the most important things you can do for me is share.
Talk about it with your friends.
Talk about it with your
It's
friends.
a great time.
Yeah, if you liked what you saw genuinely, and you learn anything or you think we're funny, tell your friends. That's the best thing you can do, because getting me out there, you don't have to give me money. You don't even have to subscribe. But if you watch...
Just take some time out of your day to watch a couple of goofballs have fun. Whoever it may be, not even myself.
Sharing is the best thing you can do for me at this point. So if you're willing to give me a shout out on Instagram or Twitter or some sort of social media, send the link to my YouTube channel. That would be much appreciated. Right now I'm about I'm at about 15 subscribers.
I'm one of them.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm not put on notifications. Put on notifications as well if you want to
yeah,
see some
you can put on
uploads.
notifications.
Hey, I mean, if you
but-
get to it, if you're right there, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I'm at 15 subscribers. When I get to 50 subscribers, 50, I'm going to be doing a couple Visa gift card giveaways. So when I get close to 50, when I get to about 40, 45 subscribers, I want people to start commenting on my videos what they would do with like a $50 Visa gift card. You know, maybe you'll get some food, but if maybe you need it to help pay bills, or maybe you want to treat your mom to dinner, or maybe you want to just do a good deed with it. That's the type of shit that I'm going to be looking for this for these giveaways. Because I do want to do these giveaways not only to help my viewers gain something out of it, just for watching me and supporting me, but then if I give you guys money and you happen to decide to do something good with that money, not only am I helping you, I'm helping you help somebody else. And in turn, that person will be more likely to help another person. So that's my goal. I want to do these giveaways very soon, and I do plan on it, but I need more people to watch. So we're going to need the shares. I keep saying it. Just sharing, that's so important. The last minute and a half has been about it's been about sharing these podcasts. And
So basically, like, subscribe, share to your friends, give
yeah.
us a shout out.
So this guy needs to go see his girlfriend. So I'm gonna wrap it up.
No,
because
not
it's
even.
taken
I'm just
forever.
making it short
But,
and beautiful.
yeah, no.
You guys get the gist.
Anyway, thank you guys for checking me out. We're gonna start another podcast very soon. I think we're doing one in 2 or 3 days. So that will be out. There will be me and my cousin. And then I have a few people coming in next week who want to do the podcast. So I will keep you guys updated. If you follow me on Instagram, it's spencerh.57. And Snapchat is spencerhaines57. That's Haines. So check me out. Send me a friend request. Share me. And I will see you guys next time.